the difference between last fall into winter and this fall into winter are like 20 years of my life. It's actually stunning. And my name's Mark Wilson, and I did the longevity protocol with MDLifespan. Fall of 23, I was at a point where I was ready to quit doing several of the things I most love in my life because I just didn't have resilience. I just didn't have mental clarity anymore, like I have to for the stuff I like to do. A good friend of mine that was a client back before I retired was telling me about it a couple of years back, and it sounded kind of amazing, and I was too busy to really follow up. And then when I hit kind of a health crisis middle of last year, it was like, okay, I got to do something about this because I almost was at the point of quitting doing several of the things I really, really enjoy. So he told me about it. I got in touch with him and just was surprised at the possibilities because I'm 72 years old and I expect a lot out of my brain and my body. So in working with Dr. Paul, I took a blood test and discovered I had massive amounts of toxins. I mean, stuff like glyphate that goes right to Parkinson's, stuff like aluminum that goes right to Alzheimer's. My dad died of Alzheimer's, so I'm intimately familiar with that's a really bad thing, especially for a driven individual like myself. When I began to understand that essentially toxins are probably the cause of almost everything chronic that's killing us, I began to realize this is probably what's keeping my brain and my resilience from being where it needs to be. And I'm much more at risk than I thought. And so when I saw those numbers, it was like, okay, how do we work? How do we change that? Because I feel the effects. Is it possible? And Dr. Paul talked through just, here's how we do it. Here's how it works. I do have a biology degree, so some of it was understandable. Some of it is so leading edge, it's amazing. But it was like, yep, fine, let's go. Well, in that process, I had my blood and urine drawn, and then, Doc and I had a conversation about what does it mean. But before we even talked, and I saw I was really high on all the government ratings, I was just like, particularly those two, the aluminum and the glyphate, I was like, oh, this is really bad. This is worse than I thought. It's not just I'm exhausted right now. This is a downhill slide. This has got to be turned around. And I didn't even know this stuff was possible to change like that. Well, and I chose the longevity program because I expect a lot out of my body and brain. I'm 72, and quite frankly, for the last 20 years, in something physical or intellectual, I teach at a university, for example, I could best most anyone, physically or mentally. And I was to the point late last year where I was having trouble doing the teaching I want to do, not having the kind of endurance or stamina that I had expected out of my body ever since I was a kid. And it was like, I'm hitting a wall here. And when I saw those toxins and realized, okay, this isn't just a catch up on your rest thing. You're being undermined by these toxins and this inflammation. It was, okay, what do we do? And really, Dr. Paul has a great way of explaining in layman's terms stuff that can be pretty complex. And so pretty quickly I understood if we don't change the toxin situation, I was never going to come back to who I wanted to be. And I am. It's embarrassing how good I feel like I'm 40 sometimes. When I chose the longevity protocol, I wasn't even at the point anymore of protecting my mental and physical integrity. I was trying to get it back. The last class I taught in that year, I had to apologize to the class when I got off track 3 times. And when I think I'm going to let people down, I'll go through whatever it takes. And surprisingly, it wasn't a really big deal. After my first plasma exchange, it was weird. I'm driving home and I feel mildly exhilarated, just fine. And I know they've, pulled some out, put some in, and, it was actually rather amazing because I had to fight the city traffic going home. And I actually felt sharper already, which kind of surprised me. And so there weren't really any after effects for me, which, for something major to be improved, and it's not a big deal. I'm now in the maintenance phase of this protocol, and essentially it's pretty simple. You choose the right diet for your body type and tend to stick to it because frankly you feel better and it works and you're eating healthier stuff. And at this point it's some supplements and a shake. Now that I'm this far away from it, my stamina and my mental sharpness seem to me not just be back, but be back to maybe 20 years ago. It's A, really a relief, and B, frankly, a lot of fun to have that mental sharpness again and the ability to push my body when I need to at a level that not very many 72-year-olds have. Because honest, the difference between last fall into winter and this fall into winter are like 20 years of my life. It's actually stunning. This whole concept of being aware of toxins and what you have to do in terms of diet, cooking utensils, your environment, your water, your air, it needs to be understood by people. The clock is ticking, it's only getting worse, but you have much more control than you think. And you owe it to your loved ones to do something about it. It would be very hard for me to conceive of not doing that. And because I've got it back, it's amazing. It is far more expensive to suffer the results than it is to figure it out and get your life back. Don't wait till you're 50 or 72 or whatever to find out what's going on, because you need to know.